All right, so I wanted to show you how this works out. I got some Subway napkins here on the side. This is going to work like watercolors here. I got my my tray, my watercolor tray, which I use for my regular watercolors. And right here it's got some water. I'll just dab a little bit. Let's see how this goes. It's my first time using these watercolor pencils, so let's see how this should be interesting. Let's go. Let's see how this works out here. Oh yeah, already. I can just tell. Now, it's been a few days since I actually drew with the colored pencils here, but it's still taking effect. I think for the best bang for your buck, you probably want to do it after you lay down your colored pencils, but this isn't bad. Gosh, it's so good for you and your psyche to do color painting in the winter. You can just feel, you can feel instantly. Let's see how this mixes to the, this is the light orange right here. And this brush is pretty skinny. I should really be using a thicker brush. But as you can tell, that train goes off quite a bit around here. If you're a regular watcher of this channel, you might have heard that train in the background. Give me a shout out if you live near a train and it's constantly going off. So yeah, I mean, this doesn't take very long to do this kind of thing, and I recommend you go to Michael's or look online. I suggest Michael's because I used to kind of work there as an art instructor. Get one of these trays. I believe this is where I might have gotten it from Michael's, and it props itself up with this little thing right here, this flap, and you can close it and carry it, and it's just, you don't have, you know, I'm working with such a limited space, you don't have to worry about dropping paint everywhere. You still got to watch it, and I still recommend that you put some kind of newspaper down on the ground, but you can keep it self-contained, and that's awesome. That's really, if you're in a tight space. It's so good for the psyche to do some painting, color painting, but it's so hard when you're working the FTJ, as I say, the full-time job. Your time is so limited, and then you get home and you don't have the energy. Maybe you went out, hit the gym, hit that gymnasium, and you're just burnt out. It's hard to sit down and focus in front of a canvas, but I think it works wonders once you do. Oh, see, now there's no going back. That's the thing about watercolors. Once you go dark, you know, you can't really go back too much. So I should have concentrated on the lighter colors a bit more. But this whole thing's only taken me a few minutes to do. So I'm going to dry it on the napkin, wet it and dry it so I can get rid of that black. But it's still a little tricky. You really got to wet it to get rid of that. In fact, I always recommend you have another backup canvas to test your colors. So for example, just to see how this goes, I'll do the top of the page because I might use this page for something. See how that looks. See if there's any of that black on there. I think I got it all. I don't see any more black necessarily. And what I'm using here for this book is awesome. You can definitely get this at Michael's. Mixed media pad, a Strathmore mixed media pad, good for painting. Says sketching, yep, wet and dry. Although if you use it for sketching, I'd say get a different one for sketching because this is good for painting. You don't want to kind of use all your pages for drawings because you can get so much more out of it if you use painting. But if you really got nothing else, you can use it for sketching. Wet and dry media. So this is, I highly recommend this. Oops. Especially if you don't have much space and you want to do just some small paintings, which is what I'm kind of all about right now. Just doing small paintings. Again, because I don't have the setup in my room to go all full artiste with the cap and everything. And the mustache, and go full artist. Oops. Oh. I don't know where that green came from. That came out of nowhere. Ah, look at that. Look at that. Just kind of dab that out. I think that green came from somewhere in my dried watercolors, which they're starting to crack now. So I could try to just flick some of these old watercolors out. Like this is cracking a lot. I think I was using this for acrylics too for a little while. But I could try getting that out of there. Yeah, that's what happened. Some of the green is kind of... It's why it's worth cleaning these things once in a while. It's floating around in there. That's how it got on there. So I just got to pay attention to that. I guess I could like always like color over that with the color pencil again, but for the purposes of this is just kind of a tutorial. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. I just kind of want to get used to using this, the color pencils, and how they perform. Okay, so now I'm in the dark area. So I've committed to that. When you use, again, watercolors, you commit to the dark area, you're committed. You don't go back to light because it's just going to darken your lighter colors. So this is something you have to kind of always keep in mind when working with watercolors. So not bad, not bad. I'll do one more. I'll go over it one more time from light to dark. But you probably don't really notice too much if you used real watercolors. So I'm really considering. I thought about doing my comics, coloring my comics like this, but again, even if you color the comics with whatever media, when you go to print your comics out, it's going to cost you because you're printing them in color, which is a lot more expensive. Than just printing black and white comics. So if you do that, just know you're going to go all in on with the color printer, and it's going to cost you a bit more per issue to print out. So have your Kickstarter or whatever you're using for funding ready to go for that kind of situation. But I'm going to wrap this up. I'm running out of camera power. Thanks for watching. Remember, it's only 10 seconds a day. I'll meet you in the next video where I do the next step of this, okay? Keep drawing. 10 seconds a day at least.